I never believed in ghosts. Not until I took the night shift at Willowbrook General. It was an old hospital built in the 1940s, one of those places that seemed frozen in time. The walls were a faded mint green, the kind of color that only exists in government buildings and nightmares. The floors were speckled linoleum, worn thin by decades of shuffling feet. And the air, it always smelled faintly of antiseptic and something else, something stale, like the building itself was holding its breath. I needed the extra pay, so when they offered me the overnight custodial position, I took it without hesitation. The job was simple. Empty the trash, mop the floors, wipe down surfaces. No patient interaction, no emergencies. Just me, my mop bucket, and the hum of fluorescent lights. The first few nights were uneventful. The hospital was quiet after midnight. Most of the staff gone except for a skeleton crew of nurses and the occasional doctor finishing paperwork. I'd work my way through the halls, the squeak of my sneakers echoing in the empty corridors. Sometimes I'd hear distant voices, a nurse laughing in the break room, the murmur of a late-night phone call. Normal sounds, human sounds. But on the fourth night, things changed. It started with the elevator. I was on the third floor, finishing up near the pediatric wing. That part of the hospital always gave me a strange feeling. Maybe it was the brightly colored murals on the walls, the cartoon, animals smiling a little too wide under the flickering lights. Or maybe it was the way the air felt heavier there, like the walls were pressing in. I was emptying a trash can when I heard the ding of the elevator doors opening. No one should have been there. Visiting hours ended at 8 p.m. and it was past midnight. I turned the corner expecting to see a doctor or a nurse who'd stayed late, but the hallway was empty. Then the elevator doors closed on their own. I told myself it was just an old building with faulty wiring. The hospital was ancient. Things didn't work right. But then I heard it, a child's giggle, soft and distant, coming from inside the elevator shaft. My blood ran cold. I stood there for a long moment, gripping the trash bag in my hands like it could protect me. The sound hadn't been loud, but it had been unmistakable, high-pitched, playful, the kind of laugh you'd hear from a kid hiding during a game of tag. I pressed the call button, half expecting the doors to open and reveal nothing. But when they did, the inside was ice cold, and the scent of antiseptic was overpowering, like someone had just scrubbed the walls. The elevator was empty, but the floor was wet, not puddled, just damp, as if someone had walked in with wet shoes. Stepped inside against my better judgment and hit the button for the basement. Maybe I was just tired. Maybe I was imagining things. The descent was slow, the lights flickering as the elevator groaned its way down. The temperature dropped with every floor, my breath fogging in front of me by the time the doors opened. The basement was nothing like the rest of the hospital. The walls were bare concrete, the ceiling low and lined with exposed pipes. A single row of flickering fluorescents lit the long hallway ahead, casting uneven shadows. This was where they stored old equipment, outdated records, things the hospital didn't need but couldn't bring itself to throw away. That's when I saw her. At the far end of the hall, a little girl in a white hospital gown stood perfectly still, her back to me. Her hair was wet like she'd just been bathed, and her bare feet left damp footprints on the tile. "Hey," I called out, my voice shaking. "You shouldn't be down here." She didn't move. I took a step forward, and the overhead lights buzzed, dimming for a second before flaring back to life. When they did, the girl was gone, but the footprints remained, leading straight into one of the storage rooms. I followed them. The room was filled with old medical equipment, rusted IV stands, broken monitors, and a single hospital bed pushed against the far wall. The sheets were stained yellow with age, and tucked beneath them was a small, lumpy shape. I didn't want to look, but I had to. I pulled back the sheets. Lying there was a doll, porcelain face cracked, glass eyes staring blankly up at the ceiling. Its dress was the same white hospital gown the girl had been wearing, and its feet were wet. I bolted. Didn't stop running until I was back in the elevator, slamming the button for the first floor. The doors closed, but just before they shut completely, I saw her again, standing at the end of the hall, now facing me. Her eyes were black. I quit the next day, but sometimes when I'm alone at night I still hear the elevator ding and the sound of a little girl laughing.